Hi, this is your homework helper, Mrs. Anderson. Today I will help you with Lesson 2, Convert Customary Units of Length. Looking at our homework helper, we can see this example here. The average height of a female giraffe is 15 feet. What is the average height in yards? So if I'm taking 15 feet and I'm going to convert it into yards, the first thing that I do is look at the units. Here's feet and here's yards. And I ask myself, are feet larger than yards? Am I going larger to smaller? Or are feet smaller than yards? Am I going smaller, a smaller unit to a larger unit? In this case, I'm doing smaller to a larger unit. When I go from a smaller unit to a larger unit, I always divide. When I go from a larger to a smaller unit, I always multiply. So in this case, I'm going to divide because I'm going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So I'm going to take the number 15 and I'm going to divide. But now I have to ask myself, how many feet are in a yard? There are 3 feet in a yard, so I'll divide by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, so my answer is 5. 15 feet is the same as 5 yards. All right, let's look at the next one here. I have miles in a yard. Okay, so first thing I do is ask myself, how many, am I going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, or a larger unit to a smaller unit? Miles are larger than yards, so I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. And when I go from larger to small, I multiply. So I know that I'm going to take 5 and I'm going to multiply. Okay, my next question is, how many yards are in a mile? So yards in a mile, there are 1,760 miles in a yard. 1,760 yards in a mile. So I'll need to multiply these numbers together to get the answer. All right, let's go to number 2. Yards to inches. Well, I know that yards are larger than inches, so I'm going larger to small. When I go larger to small, I know that I multiply. So I'm going to take 7 and I'm going to multiply by how many inches there are in a yard. There are 36 inches in a yard, so I'll multiply 7 times 36 to get the answer. Here I'm going from inches to yards. I know that inches are smaller than yards, so I'm going smaller to large. When I go from a smaller unit to a larger unit, I am dividing. So I'll take 150 and I'm going to divide by how many inches are in a yard. And there are 36 inches in a yard. So I'll do 150 divided by 36. All right, let's look at the next one. I have 110 inches and I'm changing that into feet and inches. I know that inches are smaller than feet, so I'm going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. When I go from a smaller unit to a larger unit, I'm going to divide. So I'll take 110 and divide. I need to ask myself, how many inches are in a foot? There are 12 inches in a foot, so I'll do 110 divided by 12. And you can see I'll have feet and inches on this one. All right, looking at the next one, I ask myself, are yards larger than inches? Yes, larger than inches, so I'm going from large to small. When I go from large to small, I am multiplying. So I'll take 8 and ask myself, how many inches in a yard? There's 36 inches in a yard, so I'll do 8 times 36. On this one, feet and miles. Are feet smaller than miles? Yes. So I'm going smaller to larger. And when I go smaller to larger, I divide. So I'll take 13,200 feet and divide by how many feet there are in a mile. There are 5,280. So when I do that, I'm going to have to round to the nearest mile because I won't get an exact answer. So I'll round to the nearest mile. All right, let's look on the next page. This part says, fill in the correct circle that corresponds to the best answer. Which of the following is not a common unit of measurement for the customary system? Well, think about what we were doing on the first page. What were we using? Feet, inches, meter, miles? Find the one that we did not use, and that one is not a common unit of measurement for the customary system. Okay. Which operation is necessary to convert a smaller unit to a larger unit? If I'm going smaller to large, a smaller unit to a larger unit, what do I do? You can look over on the other side to check it. All right, Ty has 2 pieces of wood. Use less than, greater than, or equals to compare the pieces of wood. So one piece of wood is 1 yard 9 inches, and the other one is 44 inches. So what I'm going to do is take this one that's 44 inches, and I'm going to change it into yards. That way I can get the units to be similar, and then I'll be able to tell which is greater or less than. So inches are smaller than yards. So I'm going smaller to larger. Smaller to larger is divide. So I'll take 44, and I'm going to divide by how many inches are in a yard? 36. So I'll put 44 in a division box and divide by 36. 36 goes into 44 one time. When I multiply 1 times 36, I get 36. Now I'll subtract. I can't do 4 minus 6, so I'll have to borrow and do 14 minus 6. 14 minus 6 equals 8, and 3 minus 3 equals 0. So now I have 8 left over. So this 1 is 1 yard, and the 8 is 8 inches. So now this one that was 44 inches is equivalent to 1 yard and 8 inches. So piece number 1, okay, piece number 1 is greater than, less than, or equal to piece number 2. Piece number 1 is, it looks like if this is 1 yard 9 inch, it's larger than 1 yard 8 inch. So it's greater than piece number 2. Okay, or, you know what, I don't think that makes much sense. Let's do it this way and do 1 yard and 9 inches is greater than 44 inches. I think that makes a little bit more sense. All right, Lily built an orange shelf and a brown shelf to hang in her room. The orange shelf is 5 feet 6 inches long, and the brown shelf is twice as long. What is the length of the brown shelf? We're going to need to take 5 feet 6 inches and times it by 2 to figure out how long the brown shelf is. So I can take 5 times 2 to figure out how many feet there are, and I can do 6 times 2 to find out how many inches there are, and then combine them if needed. And number 11, the table shows the name of each volunteer and the height of the baby elephant each volunteer measured. Which volunteer measured the tallest elephant? All right, so looking at the heights of the elephant, I have 2 yards, 68 inches, 5 feet, and 5 feet 10 inches. Well, these two are already in the same form, 5 feet and inches. Feet and inches. So let's figure out which one is taller, 5 feet or 5 feet 10 inches. Well, definitely 5 feet 10 inches. So this one is now gone because I'm looking for the tallest one. So if I change 68 inches into feet and inches, that will help me know which one's the tallest out of those two. So if I go from 68 inches and I'm going to go into feet, I'm going to change it into feet. First I ask myself, okay, well, am I going smaller? Inches are smaller than feet, so I'm going smaller to larger. I know when I'm going smaller to larger, then I'm going to divide. So I'm going to take 68 and divide by how many inches are in a foot, which is 12. So I'll put 68 in a division box and divide by 12. 12 goes into 68 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60, and when I subtract, 8 minus 0 is 8. So this one is 5 feet 8 inches. Okay, so this one here is 5 feet 8 inches. Well, now I'm looking at 5 foot 10 inches and 5 foot 8 inches, and I can see that this one is still larger, so I'll cross out Kelsey's. Okay, now I'll need to take 2 yards and change it into feet. So once you change it, take it from yards to feet, you'll be able to figure out which one is larger, George's or Brian's. Okay, thanks for watching this homework helper video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me at school tomorrow.